Hi, I'm Connor Stawning, and for my listening service project, I participated in a 24-hour bike ride called Ride for the Troops that was held by my fraternity Kappa Sigma here at Boise State. Here with me is my co-interviewer, Chris Schwartz, and we'll be interviewing one of the members of the fraternity that also participated in the 24-hour bike ride.
Hi, I'm Philip Wanyanamo. I'm part of the Kappa Sigma fraternity. And on September 24th to 25th, we held a 24-hour bike ride to support the troops.
Well, tell me a little bit about what we did during the Ride for the Troops.
So for the Ride for the Troops, we ended up going to a fraternity brother's house and held an event there while we had sent a group of guys out every hour to ride around the city and show support for our troops. And then every hour we'd come back and switch off our different members of the fraternity, and we always had at least 4 or 5 guys out there.
Tell me a little bit more about your specific role during this marathon.
Well, I was a rider during the marathon, so I ended up riding 4 or 5 hours of the 24 hours in different
Segments?
Yeah.
Or something? Okay.
different segments. So we pretty much stayed at the house most of the time and did different activities, different things, just to help raise awareness for heroes and stuff like that. But then for the most part, the biggest part was the riders and just riding around the city.
Okay. And how did you guys get the money that you raised through biking?
There was a lot of different ways. Most of it was through sponsorships, so we had to either go to like a business or other people we knew and ask if they would donate money for the specific amount of like time we would ride. So since I did 5 hours, we'd go to like a business and they'd pledge $1 for every hour, however much it was that
Awesome.
they decided to do.
What was the outcome of this 24-hour bike marathon?
Well, we raised over $1,400 for the Military Heroes campaign.
And what is that exactly?
It's a charity that supports other various veterans organizations and gives support back to our veterans once they're home on American soil.
Is this one of the only things that Kappa Sigma does community service-wise?
No, we strive to give back to our community as much as possible. So we participate in a lot of different philanthropy and community service activities.
Okay. And could you tell me a little bit about what those are exactly?
Well, we participate in all of the major philanthropy events and stuff, such as Relay for Life and Dance Marathon, and then some like obviously our Run for the Troops Day, and then we also participate in a bunch of like smaller events as well, like all the other sorority and fraternities philanthropy weeks, such as the Liar Games and Alpha Gam competition, stuff like that.
Okay. What are some of the challenges that you might face as a fraternity while doing this community service work?
Well, there are still the stigmas about Greek life, a lot of negative ones, where they make certain groups and people hesitant to support us or to help us either organize events or participate in them. So there's always a little bit of a barrier, or not always, but there's sometimes a little bit of a barrier to accomplishing our goals and getting these community service events set up and run well.
How do you overcome those obstacles?
We overcome those obstacles by just doing exactly what we've been doing, just participating and organizing all the community service events that we can to show the community that we're not just a bunch of ignorant young college students that just want to drink and party all the time, that we actually want to do good for our community and help people out. And so, yeah, you just have to show the regular people, everybody else, that we're actually a good thing and we're not just some pest or something like that.
What are some other things that Kappa Sigma does besides their philanthropy?
Well, we have our 4 pillars, which are fellowship, leadership, scholarship, and service. And so service is pretty much what I was just talking about, where we go and do service events and philanthropy ideas and other things like that. But then we also have fellowship, which is like the bond between brothers.
Okay.
And
So tell me a little bit more about that sort of brotherhood, I guess.
well, the brotherhood is just sort of a I have your back, you have my back kind of thing. So I mean, we always look out for each other and do it like whatever we need of each other. If any of us need help, then everybody else has their back. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So you're relatively new to the whole community service and fraternity life, I guess.
I'm definitely new to the whole fraternity life scene. It's something kind of. It's pretty new. It feels sort of like a team, like a family, you know. Obviously, because of the fellowship. So it's definitely not entirely new. You know, it's just a group of guys that are now always looking out for me, but definitely not new to the community service part. I still had a lot of other projects in high school. I did Relay for Life a couple of years, even in high school for my church and stuff like that. So it's a little bit new and old.
Why'd you decide to join Kappa Sigma?
I was almost pushed to join by a friend of mine who knew that I would fit in really well with the fraternity. So initially I was a bit hesitant and wasn't quite sure if I wanted to be in Greek life, but after going out with the guys and meeting with most of them, I found out that they were a really nice group of guys and something that represented something that I wanted to be a part of. So I was happy to join.
What have you learned in the short time that you have been a part of the Kappa Sigma fraternity?
It's kind of a hard question. There's so many things that we've done. So I've pretty much learned to be a good brother, to always like be watching out for my people and making sure that they're okay and they have everything they need. And yeah, just to be somebody's watchdog almost.
So we already talked about the challenges that the fraternity as a group faces from the community. Are there sort of challenges that the fraternity faces internally with each other? What I'm trying to get at is like
There's definitely
listening. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
There's definitely challenges whenever you introduced 70 guys to each other like right away. You know, instantly they're just all now supposed to be friends, and there's always the challenges of figuring out who everybody is and understanding how they are. You know, just meeting them and getting to know them is always challenging, especially when it's all right away. It's it's a bunch of guys like instantly. Hey, now they're your brothers, and you have to go figure out who is this guy and
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there anything that the fraternity kind of did or does to implement ways to kind of get around those obstacles of meeting people and making it difficult to experience those things?
Well, definitely just going to the events and participating with everybody else. That certainly gets you to know everybody and makes the process a little bit smoother. And then they also implemented families, so we split the fraternity up into 5 different groups, like pretty much randomly, and so then each family does their own sort of things within the fraternity to kind of get their members more involved with each other, and so just to
Okay.
strengthen the bonds between the brothers.
How has the fraternity helped you communication-wise in your community?
It's improved my communication skills because I've had to interact with so many more people and had to learn how to build those relationships quickly. So I've definitely learned to communicate better and communicate quicker with new people.
If an incoming freshman asks you about what Greek life is really about here at Boise State, what would you say to them?
Well, first off, I would tell them that joining a fraternity was one of the best decisions I've made since I've got here. It's really opened up a lot of doors and introduced me to a lot of new people that I wouldn't have known any other way. So I would definitely encourage them to look through all the fraternities and just like find the guys that they connect with the best, because there's always going to be some group of people that you can really connect with and you can sympathize with. And so I would encourage them to find their organization and join that one, because it really, it's a good way to get involved and get in like to leadership opportunities and things like that, because they organize so many events, they hold so many things that are important and good parts of college that are really like big resume boosters and give you good experiences. So I think without that, with not having joined, it would have been much harder to get out and meet people and find new opportunities and experiences. And so it's definitely something that everybody should pursue, or at least investigate for a little bit.
So what you're saying is, no matter what organization someone goes to, there's always going to be one that fits somebody.
Well, there you can pretty much find a organization on campus that really that you can connect with. There's always going to be somebody for somebody.
Okay.
Like that.
You kind of you said something about leadership opportunities.
Yeah.
Could you kind of elaborate on what those might be inside and out of the fraternity, I guess?
Well, inside the fraternity, you have all the different leaders of all the different committees, which help us plan and organize events and stuff like that. And so with that goes like the outside of the fraternity opportunities, because you are in charge of events and stuff like that. So you go out and you like you can really learn how to organize and lead people. So I mean, definitely like important skills to know in life.
Okay. Nice. Sort of getting back to the community service aspect of the fraternity, what do you think is something that the fraternity is lacking, or something that how they could sort of improve in that side of?
I think the only way we can really improve at this point would just be to do more. Like we do a lot. We do like a few things already, but I think just by increasing the amount of things that we do, amount of events we hold, stuff like that, we could really pull together a lot of money for the charities that we're trying to support.
Mm-hmm. And could you think of any possible ideas of what you could do in the community to give back, I guess?
Well, we currently have a few ideas like already being processed and decided upon, but I guess like a few of them were just like auctions of like sports gear and stuff like that, like signed memorabilia that we were gonna auction off to the community to raise money.
Mm-hmm.
And just like other like small events like that, other things that we could just do like quickly, or with the help of like the community at large, to give back to like everyone else, like help from businesses and things like that, would really help us accomplish new goals.
One of the final questions I sort of think we have is, what was the biggest struggle for this interview? Since I know you're a freshman and this isn't really a common thing to be like asked about the organization you're a part of by someone who's also part of the organization. But so what kind of was like, what did you struggle with throughout this interview, do you think?
Sometimes it's hard to come up with like specific answers, because you're talking to somebody who already knows kind of what you're talking about, so you tend to assume and not really explain yourself, even though that you're not necessarily, your audience isn't necessarily your interviewers, but you because they're interviewing you, you assume that you can answer the question with stuff that, like assumptions, basically stuff that you know they know, but not everybody else knows. Yeah.
I think I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, Phil, thank you for your time. That concludes the interview for our listening service project.
Cool.